12, Structure Residential.
What's up, everyone? I sat down for a morning meeting this week with now former San Diego firefighter Michael Porche. Michael's on the path towards financial freedom by leaving the fire service to pursue real estate full-time. He's identified his why and is now going full force towards achieving his goals. Hope you enjoy it. All right, hey Michael, welcome to the bullpen. Thanks for meeting me.
Oh, what's up, Kyle? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, I'm really excited to get you on here. Anything new in your life in the last few weeks or anything, or has everything just been totally normal for you?
Oh, yeah, everything's totally normal. I mean, nothing really to change. No, actually, I made a pretty big jump in the last couple of weeks, and I had just put my resignation in with San Diego City.
And did you resign, or were you like forced to resign?
Oh no, I resigned.
What'd you get yourself into?
So, long story, I'll try to compact it as best as I can. Love the fire service. That's all I ever wanted to do. But then after doing it for a few years, met my wife, and then that's all I ever wanted to be with. Then I had a daughter, and that just kind of amplified that. So I started looking for investments, started studying real estate, looking for things I can get for a passive income. Long story short, I found an assisted living as a vehicle in terms of providing what I would thought would be passive cash flow. So my wife and I, we moved to Idaho to buy 2 facilities. We saw an opportunity there, and we jumped on it. And since being here, our plan was to be here for a year and then move back and continue fire. But then we fell in love with Idaho. We fell in love with the people. We found a church where we met with friends and really became connected. And from that point on, we were like, I hate going back. And then the business became a lot more busy, and I saw it potentially becoming more profitable. And with the beds that we were filling, it did so as well.
Awesome.
And
so I'm sure we'll get into all that as we dig into your backstory. But yeah, taking that sort of leap of faith, man, is I'm sure it's exciting. I'm sure it's scary, but what I'm really excited for you about is the fact that you just are taking action. That's really cool to see. Well, you ready to get into this?
Let's do it.
All right, cool. So here comes your first alarm. As you will well remember, a first alarm assignment here in the San Diego Fire Department is 4 engines in a truck. But here at the Firehouse, I'll ask you 4 questions. You give us 1 piece of advice. That sound good?
Sounds great.
All right, cool. So here comes your first alarm. And you are going to be first in on this first alarm. So if you're first in, I need to size up. That's who you are, where you work, and how long you've been doing it.
Yep. I am 30 years old. I currently am employed with eXp Realty. I am a realtor as well as an investor. So I can uncover that a little bit later, but what those terms mean, but as well as a business owner. I own a couple businesses. One of the ones that's taking up a lot of time besides the real estate investing is my wife and I own 2 assisted living facilities. There we have about 19 beds total, of whom we help and take care of primarily the older generation. Usually people in their 70s and above is who's in our facilities and just need help with daily activities. Some are more capable than others. But with that, I'm kind of hands off. I just kind of handle the marketing and the lead generation for that. My wife is one of the administrators for one facility. We have another administrator for another facility who pretty much what that means is they just run the facility, make sure everything's going as planned. Under them, they have managers. Under them, they have caregivers. So that's kind of what my day-to-day looks like now. I have a wife, as I mentioned, and I have a daughter. She is 1 year old and a month. Her name's Erilee. She's beautiful, a little dancer. She loves speaking to everybody. You know, she's never really met a stranger. And she's kind of scary to me. I want her to be afraid of certain people.
But it sounds like she takes after her old man in that case.
Oh yeah, definitely.
With the assisted living facility, that's kind of a unique niche in real estate. Can you just expand on that a little bit more for somebody that doesn't really know what it's about? Us, as first responders, we go into these facilities all the time, but we maybe don't know that much about the other side of it, the investing side of it.
Yeah, so that's actually where I first came in contact with it, was on a call. and it was in Claremont, 36th district. And I was like, what is this? And it's like, oh, it's boarding care. Oh, okay, cool. Well, that sounds boring. I was like, whatever.
Yeah, board and I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then, ran into him a few more times, never even think anything about it until I went to a real estate seminar. It was like a local RIA, and this guy was selling his education program. And I made a mistake of buying into a education program before. So I was like, I'm not buying this one. But it was the perspective from, at that point in time, I was looking at real estate. You buy a house, you rent it out. If you're doing pretty good, you might make $200, maybe $300 in passive income. But you're running into one person. And then I saw assisted living, and this is what I'd say the definition of what I saw as an investment standpoint is: you get a house, you have so many rooms, you rent out each room for a certain amount of dollars. So each room that's rented out, to give perspective, is rented out twice what you could rent it for on average for the whole home. And that's just for a person to live there.
So if I had like a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house or something, I was getting $2,000 a month in rent for. Our market here is very expensive, and you could expect to pay something like that depending on the part of town. Yeah. What would you expect to be able to generate an income for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house with an assisted living facility?
So for an assisted living, depending on how you frame it, so you could be a completely Medi-Cal, which would be for California, type of assisted living. And you could, if those rooms are big enough and have ample storage space and closet space, you could split the rooms. So you can have the 3 bedrooms, you can make it shared bedrooms, do Medicaid or Medi-Cal. For there, they pay up to probably around $3,500 or so. Don't quote me on it. I don't really know, but I'm assuming that's probably around the range. So you can put in 2 residents in each room if there's enough square footage in each room for $3,500 each. So that would be $7,000 per room. So 7 times 3 would be $21,000 total for rent
per month.
Per month.
That's incredible. Because that's obviously way, way more than what you could expect to get just from your everyday single family home. I imagine there's got to be some overhead costs to that, right? So you're mentioning that there's administrators and then there's people under them. You care for these folks. It's not like a skilled nursing facility. It's maybe a level below that in terms of the service that you provide. But I imagine there's some overhead there, right? That's not just $21,000 a month in cash flow. What sort of expenses could you expect to find with something like that?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. There's a lot of things that play into it. So one of the biggest expenses that people, may or may not have time struggling with is payroll. So for us, we have 12 employees between 2 different facilities. That's including the managers as well. And payroll usually stems about a little less than half or around half of your profits. So that's one of the bigger expenses. And beyond that, it's going to be your mortgage or rent. And then next would be your insurance. As you know, you're dealing with people's lives. We just finished with our quote. And just to give an idea, you're not only providing insurance for the house and for the residents, you're also providing insurance for the workers, for workman's comp, for anybody that enters in. So that can get pretty pricey.
Sure.
But those are typically the largest, along with groceries, because you're feeding, however many people within your household.
Yep.
And so, like I said, it's daily living. So anything that they normally would do, you're providing for that, including songs and people coming in, playing bingo, going on walks. And compared to skilled nursing facility, the level of care is, a lot lower. So these aren't people who are, we have quite a few individuals who are in hospice, but they have their own home health visitors who come in and take care of them. A nurse will come in and give them shots, things like that.
Sure.
But we're not involved for directly their medical care. They have their own doctors. So it's like your grandmother living in your, granny flat at your own house, and they have a doctor that comes in every once in a while. That's typically what it is. But a lot of our residents don't need help. They just sometimes are a little more forgetful. They have dementia. Mm-hmm. So, but ultimately they just want a community with other people their age sometimes, and people they know, and they don't have any other family around.
Yeah. what sort of turnover is there? Is it like when you get your beds filled, how long can you expect those people to stay there?
The average time is about 3 years. So yeah, usually about every 3 years, which is interesting. For one of our facilities, I think we had 4 residents all coming around the same time. One resident just passed away, which does happen often, not so often, but that typically happens. We had another resident who went into acute skilled nursing facility because of his health, so needed more of that special attention. Another resident, I believe they had to relocate, and I forgot what the other one had. What was going on? But anyway, all of a sudden we have these 4 open slots within one of our facilities. But that typically you'll see residents stay for an average of 3 years. Sometimes a little less, sometimes a little more.
That's incredible, because we know that real estate investing, some of your biggest expense is turnover and vacancy. And if you can keep these people in there for 3 years, you're doing just fantastic. Do you have sort of a sense of a general rule of thumb of what you could expect to pay in expenses? Is it 50% or is it 60? You were saying maybe 50% went to payroll, then another bit to mortgage, taxes, insurance, et cetera. Is it 60% of your gross monthly income or more? Do you know?
Yeah, so I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but typically off the top of my head, like all said and done, I would say around 70% ish, 60% ish. It depends on how well you're running your facility and what kind of things are going on. But for us right now, we're kind of running at that like around 70% of costs in terms of expenses and things like that.
Okay. So
with payroll and taxes, insurance,
everything all said and done, cash flowing 30% of your gross monthly income, something like that.
Sure. Maybe a little less, maybe like 25, somewhere on there.
Still, that's fantastic, especially if you're able to command that amount of rent each month. That's just fantastic. I love hearing that. How have sort of the current events affected you guys in terms of the pandemic, in terms of everything else that's been going on, the economy being what it is? How has that affected your business there?
Yeah. So for us, I know for a lot of the larger facilities, for the big ones, they've got hit pretty hard with COVID. And so that's been pretty interesting because it's been slower transition of people coming in because of the testing, and people are kind of afraid to go in those bigger facilities. Luckily, ours was not that case. We were able to have a little more tighter grip on who is allowed into our facilities and who's allowed out, kind of thing. Okay. And
what's considered a large facility?
So large bed facility would be like 30 or so residents or more.
Okay.
Yeah. So typically in our residential, you'll see maybe a max of 16, 17, 18, somewhere around there. Depends on how the house is structured and where it's located. But that can be, I mean, for our business plan, we usually do around 10 residents per home is what we look to do.
Okay. And where are you typically finding your residents? How do you advertise? How do you market? I mean, I hear everything, all these things about the silver tsunami and how we have all these seniors needing affordable housing. So what sort of things are you doing to make sure that you are keeping that occupancy at a high level?
Yeah. So like we said before this call, it's all about relationship. So I made a lot of relationships with placement agents. I talk to them all the time, grab lunch with them. I ask them what they see in other facilities and how that's going, so we can adopt those same best practices. And a placement agent is someone who does the marketing for you in such a way, and they go find these individuals, and so we typically would pay them maybe 50% of first month's rent, or maybe first month's rent total for high end. There's also bigger placement agencies like A Place for Mom that they might charge you first month and a half rent. We typically don't go to those sources, but we also get a lot of referrals for Medicaid, just because there's a lot of individuals needing for homes and most places are full. Yeah. And there's also ways of making relationship with discharge nurses at different hospitals, and they a lot of times will give you like a free referral kind of idea.
Okay. Yeah, like you said, all of this stuff is about building relationships and just trying to provide a service to people that is valuable. And it sounds like if you can do that, you'll keep that all those seniors in a happy, comfortable, safe place, and provide an amazing service. I really appreciate that. Is there anything you can think of that you would have done differently looking back? And this can be in the short, medium, or long-term past. Is there anything that you would have changed?
Oh man. It's hard to say, because I mean, to be honest, maybe make mistakes quicker and get up faster.
Well, they talk about failing fast, right?
Yeah.
So you get back on your feet and learn from your mistakes and do it again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there anything that stands out to you that you're thinking, oh my God, I really screwed that one up? I wish I would have screwed it up. I could have screwed it up the same way, but I wish I would have done it faster. Is there something that sticks out in your mind?
Oh yeah. So one would be, I thought I had to, in order to understand real estate, in order to understand, and do well in real estate, I thought I had to buy or just put money on it and buy this expensive real estate package, listen to these gurus, which ultimately led to me where I am today. But, and to be honest, looking back, the education portion was not all that valuable. And the reason being was because there's so many individuals who are already out there doing it, willing to give their information, people like you who are in the mix doing their thing and giving out free information. YouTube University, you have to scrub through a lot, but there's a lot of information on there. And to be honest, ones I've learned most from was from the relationships that I've made, and the networking I've done, just talking to people who you see are out there doing a lot of deals or doing a lot of different other types of investments. And so I guess to answer your question before I go on a whole tangent would be, I wish I would have talked to more people, as many people as I can, to gather information, to learn what they're doing, to go sit down with them, to ask them, hey, can I add value of some way to what you're doing? Even if it's grunt work, can I, those little menial tasks that you can think of, make their mind start thinking, how can I add value to that? Make them think, oh, like, what is something that you just that's on your plate now that you want to get off of it? Can I do that for you?
I love that. And I would even offer this. I would even take it a step further. Do your homework of somebody that you want to mentor you. Go to them and say, hey, I've seen your business or in your life, you could use a little help right there. I'm willing to do that for free if you let me just tag along and learn from you, right? Because Tony Robbins says success leaves clues, right? But you're not going to just show up to Tony Robbins' house and say, hey man, how can I help you? It's like, no, show up there knowing exactly what you can do to help him, and he's going to be a lot more likely to want to let you tag along.
Oh yeah. That's just on that topic right there. Get specific. I think the more specific you can get, the more focus you can get. And when it comes to adding value to somebody, that's where it's going to shine. And even more so to yourself. Like, I'm really learning on my schedule right now is I'm getting very specific what I'm doing to that very hour. I day block my days, like this day is only for this day is only for this. And I kind of block everything else out. And then I really hone in on the hours and like, okay, from this time to this time, this is what I'm doing. And I don't allow anybody to interrupt that, because when I'm home and with my family, I want to be home. So that's a part of that as well.
No, I love that. And kind of circling back to the figuring out ways that you can add value. We have like this aversion to guys that show up when all the work's done. What do we call them? We call them blisters, right? They show up, pop up when the work's all done. It's like, no, man, show up when there's work to be done and know what it is that you have to do. Figure it out ahead of time. You'll be asking, hey man, what can I do to help? Well, no, show up and already know what to do. I love that. And the fact that you're spending time blocking out your days, it's been proven over and over again, just how effective that is in accomplishing your goals. You write out your goals for the week, for the month, for the year, whatever it is. And then you are intentional about the way that you go about attacking that. There's just so much research showing how effective that is. So I have absolutely no doubt that you're going to just crush it out there. That's cool.
Appreciate that.
Well, because you've been in this for so long now, you have a lot of experience in investing. You've obviously been intentional and deliberate in trying to design your life. what's a piece of advice that you could give guys that are either trying to start out or get out of a rut, or just get on the path either to financial freedom or some sort of personal development or something like that? What's a piece of advice that you could give some of the guys and gals?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'd say, I want to say just dig deep and get to your why, understand what you're doing, why you're doing it, and get to know yourself and be like, do I really want this investing? Why do I want it? Why do I want, this kind of lifestyle? Or why do I want this amount of money? Why do I want to pursue this? And then count the costs. Is it worth it? Is this something I'm willing to give all my time to? And then once you decide yes or no, I think get to that point where, when you wanted this job as bad as you did, what did you do? You do everything you can do in order to get this job. Think back, because most people would say yes. And then think back to what kind of tactics you utilized, what kind of time you sacrificed, what kind of things you were willing to learn, what kind of places you're willing to go, how many hours you're willing to drive just for an interview. Like, that's the mentality you have to look at when it comes to getting in this game of investing. And I mean, I have my why posted up on my wall, and I look at it every morning. I review it. Huh?
Can you share it with us?
Yeah. It's right up here. And you can see it. It says, why? Leave our legacy. I want to build orphanages. I want to build women's centers, support missionaries, live free with my family and travel, and to positively change lives with people we meet. And these are things that get me really pumped. These are things that really, I would say, solidify my just motivation. And so I remember that I get empowered by that. I'm like, hey, I'm not doing this for just me. I'm not doing this to build my own little selfish kingdom. I'm doing this so I can build a ripple effect and I can change people's lives. I just talked to one of my managers who we just made cry, just because she's been so dedicated to this craft of wanting to care for older people in such a way that is beautiful. And we've been able to observe her, see what kind of action she puts into it, how much she spends her holidays at this assisted living with these old people, loving on them, bringing her family and then loving on them on the holidays. Like, she cares. She's been with them for 6 years. And I'm like, Tia, you are such a diamond in this business, and we want to invest in you more. We want to build you up more. We want to keep, and we hope that you would stay with us just because of how much value you give in your life that you sacrifice for these people. And and that comes a lot down to reputation and what you're doing and stuff. And so we're able to give value in that way. But I love being in a position where I could do those kind of things, and I could do that as a business owner. I could do that. The more disciplined I become, the more focused I become, I think ultimately the more I can give. Yeah. And that gets me pumped.
No, that's perfect, dude. And seeing what you see every day, you sharing that with us, man, is just incredible. And the fact that you have it written down, it's explicit. It's something that you do. You check in on yourself every single day. That's helping keep you accountable for people like Tia who are depending on you to help them, right? And all the seniors that you guys are providing a great service to are depending on you. And so I can imagine the amount of pressure that puts on you, but you're also coming from a profession in the fire service of outstanding integrity, outstanding customer service, and I know that plays a part in your business model. Absolutely. So I just love that, man. And I guess with that, you got knocked down your first alarm.
I love it.
Right on. So hey, if people are looking for more information about you, Michael, where can they find you?
They can find me at michaelporche.com. It was my URL, as well as groundedinvestor.com. There'll be some information on those pages. I have my own podcast that I talk about real estate, all things real estate investing. So we kind of dive deep into that. We love talking about the locals.
What's the name of that?
And that podcast is called Grounded Investor.
Okay. We'll link to all that stuff in the show notes. Are you on social media?
I am. You can find me on Facebook. It's just the URL, facebook.com/michael.porche, as well as instagram.com/Michael R. Porche.
Awesome. Well, cool, man. Hey, I'm really proud of the leap that you took. I'm excited to see your progress. I'll be tracking it closely, man, and know for sure that we're all disappointed to have seen you left, but excited to see what the future holds for you, man. So thank you once again for your service to our fine city and to the people there of Boise, Idaho. And yeah, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for the opportunity. It's been awesome.
All right, hey, thanks again to Michael, or Mike if you're fancy, for meeting me here in the bullpen. His message about finding your why and then burning all the ships in the harbor to go all in to achieve your goals is really inspiring. If he remains disciplined and laser focused on those goals, I have no doubt that he'll be successful. If you'd like to learn more about him, you can find him on Facebook at Michael Porche. That's like the vehicle, but without the S. On Instagram, Michael R. Porche, or on his podcast, The Grounded Investor. If you'd like to learn more about us, we're on Facebook at The FIREhouse. That's f.i.r.e.house. On Instagram, the _fire_house, or on LinkedIn, The FIREhouse Investors, or any place you listen to podcasts. If you learned something today and you'd like to learn more, please like, share, and subscribe. But no matter what you do, take this information, go out there, and get some. Station F.